What's going on, everybody? Time for the YouTube recap. Glad to be back. So let's just hop into it. Interesting market day with not a lot of confirmations. We're going to talk a lot about what we do without confirmation. And when you get these big whipsaw moves back and forth, well, what to do with them, right? So early on the tweet deck here, we had a bunch of different little indicators and plans today, but a lot of them kind of got blown out. They worked, but they just went a little too far, which is fine. I had a green zone here, Fibonacci, which we'll talk about in a second here, where I wanted to see the 100 EMA reject, grab the golden pocket green zone there, and then proceed to the upside or a nice short trend trade. Okay, hello. Okay, fourth time. There we go. Or it would come up past that 100 EMA and eventually find a short and then cover, like it says down here, back down into the green zone again. So we were looking for the pre-market run up, find resistance, come down into, and as I have listed right here, short and then cover into the golden pocket again, right? So we used an over under a lot of the time today, and we had to move that around. So I did want to talk about that a little bit as we got into our trade day. So on Qs, now these were the moves in question. She went a little bit higher, right? And I'll talk about why. So last trade day on Friday, we had a real choppy, kind of scammy day. And we had an algo here in pre-market. You know how I am with my algos here. There we go, TOS, whatever. Jeez. TOS is on the struggle bus. And you know how I feel about algos, the high lows. This is not the right time frame. I like to use the 5-minute high low on these bad boys. So we get these phantom tail. Oh, TOS doing TOS things. Hold on. There we go. We get these phantom tails on these wicks, sometimes up, sometimes down. But when they do create a small body with a very long wick, we have a good identification of range for algos. So we call this the fib box. And then the high-low range gives us a golden pocket in the center of that high-low range, right? So from 490.89 to 494.23, that is our fib box. On the inside of that is the golden pocket, which I am oh so adamant about first tags and metrics. So Friday, we had this perfect algo, and we looked short. So any confirmational move underneath, right, getting price action inside the fib box would net us a move back down to the golden pocket for a beautiful cover. Now, that trade did not happen on Friday. We got held up and manipulated and just literally chopped the top Fibonacci point all day. Literally did nothing. Complete burn day sideways, which we get those. So coming into Monday today and on the Sunday on the futures, we had a couple different outlooks looking at it like, okay, well, if those didn't tag, okay, Friday, they should tag today. So we had a short biased and a long biased, both having to do with our general golden pocket area. So that golden pocket that comes from pre-market Friday algo high-low, we have drawn out right here in a green zone. That's where that green zone on Twitter came from, or X, as we go. So I wanted to see it kind of fail around here or here, okay? So I wanted it, that 100 fib, this is the over-under, and that's, again, the top algo from the pre-market Fibonacci, right? So that pushed up, no confirmation, and then just wiped out. So what do you do with a trade day like this where you have no confirmation? She just wonks out and goes kind of bonkers on you, right? Let's take a piece. Let's take a peek at the indicators here and what we've seen for the short and kind of how we played it today. Now, we did get a ramp at the back D, and we were long biased here in the pre-market, back up to yesterday's lows because there was no way it was going to hold a gap down. There was no reason for it. We had a mass divergence between QQQ and SPY. If you look at the pre-market here on SPY, the little blue dashed line right here, that's yesterday's lows. Notice how the price action always defended that in pre-market right here. Price action came down, little blue dotted line, yesterday's lows. Never was in a gap down. Qs, on the other hand, way down here, all the way back up to the little blue dash line, which is yesterday's lows. Now, this was in a massive gap down in pre-market for an attempted gap down, and this is where I went long, called the futures bottom off the algorithm picks that we had posted as well in our Discord chat. So we were up here very early in the morning talking algos and targets, right? So if I bring up the Discord here, you can see I mentioned right here that we had a all algos hit. Everything is now upside bias. We had this last one at 20,354. Price action came back down, and I noted, well, the last algos filled. Now we have upside metrics to come back and attack all of this. Now, we did say that at when was that? About 7 o'clock this morning, Central. So that came back up, and then I started going long. So I started posting P&Ls and updates like we always do. We had 670 on the options. We had started with a nice 1800 there, 22.7 with the other account there, boosted up to 3600. We posted the rest of the P&Ls. Here's an update an hour and a half later in our Discord saying this was the bottom algo and we have room to come chase down all of these other algos. Well, straight V reversal, which was pretty solid. Now, again, wasn't the easiest trade because of confirmations. Another update, we're on the way back up. And our last update, obviously we did live because we were live trading it. And on the Zoom stream, we hit all of our targets. Now, what are we supposed to do with this algo back here that just blew out the top of our over under? Well, we look for the 1618 and we have to deal with shies, okay? Shying is when price action comes down to price level or moving average and never actually hits, right? It becomes a jerk. If you zoom in real close right here, notice live price action, which starts in dark black. It shied the 100 EMA on the 5 minute, right? So it opened up right here. Bottom of that 5 minute candle, never came back down and touched that or the purple dash line, which is the volume weighted average price. So right here, the 100 EMA and the VWAP were both shied out and never tagged. That always gives me a little hint in the back of my mind where I'm like, oh man, if we start shying here, it's always gonna not tag targets, right? Well, our Fibonacci box gives us a 1618 target, which usually hits about 80% of the time. This is our fib box. This is our high-low. We have already discussed Friday pre-market. Look where the 1618 is, 496.30. So she ripped all the way up, but again, shied the 1618 tag, never actually hit perfectly, right? So if you were looking for a short there to go in for a beautiful scalp or turn around to come back and test confirmation. And by confirmation means we need to hit some of these supports in order to go back up. So we were looking long all morning for a pullback into green zone to go long. We're looking for a pullback, a higher low, a double bottom, anything, moving average alike. And it just was not giving it to us. You see the price action that flipped out and never came to the 100. Price action flipped out and never came to the VWAP. Never back tested the 200 SMA. Never, nothing. And even the 10 SMA in the blue, this was the first interaction of the 10 SMA on the day. We literally shied that at open as well. So a lot of moving averages, VWAP, nothing was tagged, which gives us kind of that feeling where this run was false and we were going to come back down. I couldn't really give up my short bias this morning, which was our main ideal, down to green zone because of this. So price action did fail. And again, we had first tag scalps all the way down, which were pretty good. And then our short target becomes long entry. So it comes all the way down to the green zone, starts messing around here, and then pops back up. Now we're on the way, okay? So what that means for futures, I want to go into NQ real quick. There we go, because we have a 10 SMA and a couple different slip options here. It means that we never really got great confirmational back tests. So when something recovers a line and it never comes back down, we're having a non-confirmational day. It's very hard to deal with those days because we're confirmational traders. Confirmation means when you set a high and you wait for a lower high, like so, to short, and you take a limited risk trade because you are shorting a lower high, you are trading, right? That's how pro traders trade. And we didn't get a lower high confirmation. We didn't get a higher low confirmation, a double bottom, nothing confirmed anywhere. So you were kind of flying blind here this morning with price level and just live action. Now, again, the futures here had some just very ugly non-confirmational. And when we get that, we need to decipher and kind of decide what we want to do off price action. And I use some other metrics for options, which probably we'll get into here at all, for what these we're going to do. Now, later on in the day, we can start looking for those confirmations, and early algos are where they kind of run away from each other. Now, after about that 10:30 mark, the confirmation will come, Euro close happens, and then we can start getting some reputable moves. And confirmation means tags, right? So when the wash happened right here, we had another non-confirmation on the 100 EMA. So we talked about the chat before I left would be long back to the 100 EMA, long back to the 200 SMA, right? Because we had washes in price action with no tags. So back tests are more likely to confirm. So when we had that liquid wash through the 200 SMA, through the VWAP and through the 100, VWAP purple, 100 EMA green, 200 SMA also right there, peach color, okay? So purple, peach, green. Every single one of these had a wash through and never back tested, creating confirmation to enter short, right? So usually you want to see something break, back test, continue. That is what we call confirmation. We are trading off of literally just trend right now, and we didn't have any confirmation. We just had absolute moves, right? We had no confirmation. We just had continuation, and that makes it tough. So now, right now, we're waiting on another confirmation. Something broke on the 100 EMA, back tested here finally. Great. Comes back around, and that's why I called the 200, right, for our final targets. I said long back to the 200, holds 20,358. Okay, we got that one. Now what do we do? Well, all the good trades are done. It's way off into the 11 a.m. We're getting some slow consolidation zones, but confirmation can now be had, right? So what do we see? Price action breaks up, 10 SMA here in the blue. Do we have any back tests? No, we do not. It comes back down, almost hits, almost hits. It's consolidating. Till what? Till the 10 SMA catches up, finally hits, and we have an opportunity to go higher, right? Well, where's higher going to lead us? Let's talk about confirmation that comes inside our oscillation, okay, which is the MACD and the RSI in the bottom here. So you see right here that the MACD has a small buy wave and it's looking for confirmation because it ran back into the 0 line. RSI same, came to the 50. It's looking for confirmation. Confirmation would be holding that 10 SMA 100 area, start to build a long, and then we got to find the target, right? Well, if the MACD holds above the 0 line, creates another large wave like so with the moving averages, RSI holds the 50 and creates higher, that is called confirmation. Again, we're getting that flow back to the upside, helping us out. But where's our target? Well, where do you get out? Well, we had another shy, remember, for a no tag, right? So we have one thing to worry about and one thing only, and that's the algo. And why is this still in play? We came all the way down to the golden pocket. That was our initial. Well, we didn't fill up the algo's price action completely, okay? So here's two scenarios that are going to happen today where the high-low fib box, okay, the price action has to come down, hits golden pocket. We got that one. It's done. What's the next move, and what are we looking for? The golden pocket has to bounce, reject the top, and come down and fill the algo wick completely, which means a failure of 494.23 because we broke into price action, stays inside and comes down and fills up the whole wick that we have not filled up yet. That is an algo magnet. Option number two is we get back over this guy right here at 494.23 and we squeeze out to the 1618. Not what I'm looking for in the slightest. I think we're going to get weakness. I wanted long, short, long. And we got long, big short, now confirmation, consolidation, just chilling. We don't have anything else. So with what we want to see here, I'm going to change this real quick, is staying underneath that algo. Perfect. Staying underneath that algo right here, or over under 494.23, because that's the algo top. Boom. This is now our over under for confirmation. Price action comes up, snaps around here, fails, actually hits 491, which is the bottom of the algo. That's option one. Option two, a little less likely, but still possible. Price action comes from here, mounts the over under, pushes to the 1618. That's the only trade left associated with the over-under confirmational watch of 494.23. So as confirmational traders, we're going to slowly watch the indicators develop halfway point, so above the 50 or below the 50 of the RSI. Same with the MACD 0 line. As we just discussed, we want to see moving averages go up and hold the 0 line for the long, or obviously break underneath that 0 line and continue lower with the short. What's the ending confirmation besides this? Well, I believe that would be your volatility index. So if I bring the VIX over and I say, okay, VIX, what do you got in store for us? What do you got for long? What do you got for short? Well, we have a gap up on the volatility index and we're looking pretty weak. The MACD is already separated, which tells me that the market long is working out way more than the short at the moment. So this gap up and this push to the +1 standard deviation 5-day. So this is a 5-day deviation. Market does not like when the VIX gets to these +1 -1s, okay? They always do the opposite. So when the VIX nears a +1, while in a downtrend, right, because the standard deviation is pointed down, you see on the yellow lines like this, it's not pointed up in an uptrend, you will reject that +1 deviation and then walk yourself back down to stuff like the gap fill, right? And we do have a gap down here that needs to be filled on the VIX that we left close to the end of the day here as well. Ooh, excuse me. And that's right here at 18.15, give or take a penny. We could move that up here a little bit debatably, but missed it by a smidge while drawing it. There we go. So with that being said, VIX has a opportunity, no guarantees, to move down to that gap fill after hitting a +1 deviation already, right? So right now, without even looking, I know the market's going long. because the deviation is down. MACD, I don't have to look at the long. We're in consolidation when we just looked at it, right? And we didn't look at it again. Market's just doing this and it's doing this and it's doing this. I bet you the 10 SMA is catching up, hitting, and she goes a little bit higher temporarily and, of course, taps back in. Well, we're going to wait for, does the VIX hold its zero line and mounts the MAC, or do we continue with that move to the top side? Well, right now, let's go look. All right, yep, hit 10 SMA, going back green, because that is our confirmation as we just discussed. Very easy, right? So we mounted the 10 SMA, push inside the 10, ran sideways, 10 SMA catches up, becomes rolling support. That's what I like to call it, because the moving averages are forever chasing the price action down, right? So again, breaks over the 10 SMA, sits down, waits for the 10 SMA to catch up. Oh, there it is. Off we go. So again, less likely to get that long move all the way back up to 496.30, but is it impossible? No. It just means that if it does run, we have to utilize this over under of 494.23 correctly, watch for price action, stabilization, confirmation, and then we go, okay, well, we got it. 200 SMA, 66 VWAP, everything is right here in this consolidation. So if this wants to break back down, we start seeing weakness in the MAC going under, as we just discussed, the VIX would be going over. Great, we take it short, and this 10 SMA won't hold. She'll walk herself back down because she needs to fill the algorithm, which is 491, and that would be my first choice, okay? I think underneath 494 is my play, and I think we fill this algo before doing anything else. Now, again, it doesn't have to be this second, this day, this whatever. We can consolidate, but we're at the 10 SMA, and the daily 10 SMA is this big dash blue line. You see it in that green zone. Notice we looped that already, right? Price action came down, broke it right here, broke back above it right here. Now we're just kind of floating. So if this does kind of hold with the 10, goes back up, sure. Not really, again, less likely, as I'm saying. I'm working on short all the way back down to fill the algo today. And I think that's plausible to think. Option prices and some other stuff are kind of telling us that we're not quite ready for the full big move, but this was a good retrace tag. Now, a first tag, and again, a good support is that pre-market low, and that's where that temporary bounce had. So nothing goes in a straight line in the market. We know that, right? So one big takeaway here is when we get a straight line up and then a straight line down after each other, right? Straight up from the pre, straight down. We got to start looking at price levels and other stuff that's oscillation indicator heavy. That'll hopefully give us that confirmation. And a first tag metric, which is my favorite, price action comes into a first tag. That's how we scalp a lot of our stuff. It did bounce at the first tag of the pre-market low. Okay, great. So we did actually have some type of support, reputable, to take a peek at and look at, right? So despite whatever the price action wants to do, now we're not quite to the over under yet. Now this is temporary support, so we could still pop here. My trade plan would be to wait till it actually hits the over under, then go short, because again, we shied it right here, which Q's has been on a shy algo all day, scamming everybody at the 100 EMA, the 200, the VWAP, the 1618. We just talked about all the shies. So right now, this is where the Q's is going to scam everybody that doesn't know how to wait for confirmation or absolute level tags. No patience, no payday, right? So it pushes up, skips, doesn't tag, comes down, waits for the 10 SMA as we discussed, pushes up. You're going to get that high push. Everybody's going to get decimated. They're all going to get laughed at. Algo's hilarious. It's going to go, lol, you didn't wait for confirmation. You didn't wait for an actual level tag. You didn't manage risk. It's going to blow you up because people love to short these red chase candles for whatever reason, and then they don't like to wait for confirmational shorts, shorting into an actual level. So what that means is you'd actually get a push into where you need to be to take a short to actually have risk management. People just get in here, just short wherever, and then they freak out when the certain new high or a certain new low comes out, not waiting for confirmation, sizing up too big, just playing the psychological game. You always lose, right? So this is rolling support into the 10 SMA. You're going to see temporary support come in. And overall, I think we're going to see a further push into 494.23, get up to here, and that's where it's going to make its decision. And I'm going to stick with the low side of things, and I think we're going to come back down to 491.29. We obviously are throwing the ball down the field here at a Hail Mary. We don't have confirmations for this play. We don't have any kind of solid oscillation because we are into the MAC and RSI's 50 looking to see if those are going to hold. I just think that we have an opportunity to see a little bit lower. Now, again, doesn't have to happen today. This could easily just hit, and then all of a sudden we're stuck right here, like a Friday, burn day, until data or something else because we don't have any catalysts. So either one is possible, but I think we will most likely have an opportunity to fill way down at the lower algo rather than blow all the way up to the 1618. So I would be short biased underneath this algo 494.23 rolling down to fill that Friday algorithmic pre-market bottom. So with that being said, I'm going to post a live trade example here on YouTube that we had this morning for a back test of the 100 EMA as well. So check back in for another video, and I'll see you guys on the next recap video. Thanks for tuning in.